you know, you got to think, once again, it's got to be between Dilks and O'Brien. They were the class of the field at Lid, but wet weather can change anything.
It really can, as you say, big equaliser when it comes to the conditions, and changeable as well. So adaptation is a huge skill these riders are going to have to learn. It's something they're going to have to learn if they want to get anywhere on the ladder up to, of course, MotoGP. You've got to be adaptable. You've got to settle into a rhythm very quickly. Otherwise, you're just going to sink, quite literally, to be fair, at the start of a race. You need to be straight on it, straight on the gas. It doesn't pay to go from meh to good to great. You need to go straight away, great, all the way through the race, because those moments where you're meh and good are going to cost you positions.
They will indeed. Dilks on pole, O'Brien in P2, Polehill P3, Lucy Curtis P4. It is all eyes to the red light. It is lights out. We are underway. Great start there from Wilson Dilks. Archie O'Brien slots into second place up the inside. Goes the 37 of Byron Johnson on Lucy Curtis, who drops back a few places at the opening corner. What a start that was for Byron Johnson, and what a start it is for Wilson Dilks as well, as he tries to bolt away and establish a lead early on. The riders tentatively teetering their way around this very wet Ellough Park circuit. Up the inside there goes Harry Payne, learning from his mistakes earlier in practice and putting his braking efforts to good use as they now fly to the infield, and now the very tricky back section. Lots of undulation coming through here, and as you can see, it is soaking at that part of the racetrack. But it looks now, for the moment, Zach, everybody through cleanly. Dilks should lead the opening lap with that's Archie O'Brien in P2, Finley Polehill in P3.
Yeah, nice start, of course, for Wilson Dilks, a very important one at that. He's finding the rhythm, and he's not got a battle to worry about. He's not looking over his shoulder, worrying where the other riders are. He's straight away honing into that rhythm, finding the pace, finding that consistency, and hoping that this gap is just going to grow and grow. Archie O'Brien in P2, though, he's got all eyes, nearly tunnel vision on the leader. He needs to follow him, find some pace, reel that gap in. He's got 10 laps to go and get the lead.
You could see and hear just how gentle Wilson Dilks was getting on the throttle out of the first turn, just taking an age to even apply it, let alone get onto full throttle through there. Just shows even, you know, the premier class here in FAB-Racing and the best riders at the moment in this premier class, just how, you know, how at the moment they're just trying to take every corner as they can, trying to find where the grip is and just looking and seeing what they can do. As there we see, that's Byron Johnson. He's made his way through Finley Polehill. That's up into P3 for the fast-starting Johnson on that all-white number 37. Great stuff from him. Can Finley Polehill fight back? Can the likes of Harrison Day, who I believe has just got through on Harry Payne, try and fight his way past? Indeed, that is Harrison Day with the fastest lap of the race as well. Son of Josh Day, of course, former PSB rider, a 58.842, the fastest lap with 9 left to go. And if you look at the gap up the front, they're all starting to bunch up. Archie O'Brien's caught up to or starting to catch up to the back of Wilson Dilks, should I say. Behind him, you've got a lot of battles going on. You see that Harrison Day really looking fast at the moment. Finley Polehill was having to put on the defensive there from Day on the number 15, and Harry Payne's there as well. We could have a huge fight up the front on our hands.
I think we could. Where the races as well really sort of lend themselves to be fairly sensational stuff, because the track, different grip, different lines. If you try and go for an overtake and it goes wrong, very quickly it can go very wrong. So pack racing in the dry is difficult enough in of itself. When it starts to get wet and you move offline and it's a bit patchy here or there, trying to find the optimal line to dance your way through, if you're one of those riders third or fourth, you can very quickly capitalise. So I think if they all bunch up behind the Dilks,
that's Hamish McIntosh. Eamon McIntosh has had enough visors off the helmet as well. He's had a big fall there. And that is going to be his race one over. A real shame for the Scottish rider, but up on his feet, that is great to see. Back to the front of the pack, yellow flags are out, so no overtaking at this section of the racetrack. Dilks still leads from O'Brien. You can see there, all the way down to P6, all within one shot. This is brilliant action here at the opening race of the weekend at Ellough Park. And all that's having a go is Byron Johnson. Wonderful move, super brave on the brakes and up into second place. That man is the man with the pace right now. He's the man with the confidence. He's the man on the move.
And he's going to use that as a stepping stone as well. Of course, with everything being as close as it is, Wilson Dilk's not a million miles away. Getting through on O'Brien, using this pace while he's got it, while he's found the advantage. Harrison Day as well eyes up the move into T1, but not quite close enough on Archie O'Brien, who falls down to P3. But while Byron Johnson has got this pace and whatever edge he's found, he needs to go and use it. Very meticulous stuff going into the braking zone of that hairpin. You rise up and then dip down, using that speed of gravity late on the brakes, and he's going to go for the lead as well.
Oh, super close between the leading pair. The rain is getting torrential out there. This is not just racing anymore. This is water sports almost. And Byron Johnson feeling brave once again. Does he try a similar move? He's going to give it a go. He's going to get it done. Byron Johnson to the lead with a superb send up the inside. Brilliant stuff from the number 37 into the lead of the race. He goes in this horrendous wet weather. He is just feeling super confident in the front end of that bike, in the front brake of that bike. And now with some clear track in front of him, he can get out of the spray, as we see behind as well. Harrison Day to the inside of Archie O'Brien. Nice stuff. O'Brien had to sit the bike up there. Oh! Johnson with a problem. Just half a lap after taking the lead. Byron Johnson, the bike expires. Devastation. Heartbreak for the young man, but a mechanical issue comes into play, and what had been a brilliant performance, it's all come to naught.
And that is the heartbreak of racing. Byron Johnson, sensational pace, and he is going to be fuming. Heartbreak. So many different emotions, particularly at that age, start rushing in to you. Of course, now the lead fight goes back to Wilson Dilks, and now, of course, with Harrison Day after his move on Archie O'Brien, he moves his way up into P2 as well. Such a shame, it must be said, of course, but what can be done? That is the duality of motor racing sometimes. You love it, you hate it, but a fight for the lead, we definitely love.
We do love a fight for lead. A big shame for Byron Johnson, but what an opportunity this is for Harrison Day. Having a look there, Archie O'Brien also trying to find his way around, but right now Wilson Dilks is doing exactly what he needs to be doing. He probably knows at this point he doesn't quite have the pace to be truly leading this race just on, that margin. He's just putting on a defensive show, just putting the bike exactly where it needs to be, just trying to hold up the likes behind. But Harrison Day is going to do what Byron Johnson did just a few laps ago, and once again, new race leader. The 15 of Harrison Day set the fastest lap on the previous tour, and now up into the lead from 5th place. He was just a few moments ago. Harrison Day takes the lead.
And this is how quick things can flip in the wet. One rider finds something, finds a bit of grip, like what, of course, Byron Johnson did a little bit earlier on going into that hairpin. Found that it's a really effective overtaking move. Harrison Day saw that and was like, sweet, I'm going to use that. I found an advantage. His pace is remarkable, already trying to stretch out that gap, and then once he's got the gap, he can then start to rein it in a little bit, find that consistency, find that rhythm. But because they're such short races, only 4 laps to go already, ticking over into the second half of things, the good news for Harrison Day, he's not actually got that long to keep the lead.
No, he doesn't, but it's still going to be a challenge nonetheless. Of course, in conditions like this, half of the task is just staying on the black stuff, staying on 2 wheels. And Harrison Day, well, we know his talent, but maybe will he go too far? We'll have to wait and see. But right now, leading not comfortably, but assertively, and looking very, very strong out there. Can Wilson Dilks respond? Again, part of the joys of being in second place. If you haven't quite got the pace, you can see what the rider in front is doing and essentially copy them, take their lines. Where are they getting on the throttle? Where are they hitting the brakes? Archie O'Brien probably doing a similar thing as well. But as it stands, it is Day from Dilks, from O'Brien, your top 3. Harry Payne in P4, Finley Polehill P5. It is very, very close out there. But Day, and again, another fastest lap of 56.522, starting to pull a gap.
Yeah, he's finding that pace, finding that rhythm, and he's just at one with that bike. Of course, fielding some new colours, was in all white at Lid, but now he's sorted that livery and it looks absolutely sensational. Definitely adding at least a couple of horsepower to the bike, finding himself an extra couple of tenths of a second, and he is flying with confidence, and that's what you need. Of course, that gap for P2 is closing up, and that is going to be exactly what Harrison Day wants. He wants Archie O'Brien to start attacking Wilson Dilks so they can fall further back and he can pull nice and far ahead. 2 laps to go, penultimate lap of race 1 of the LS2 Helmets Mini GP70 race. Archie O'Brien, Wilson Dilks for P2.
It is getting very close between that pair. Can O'Brien find his way through? It seems to be the crunch point is coming down at the bottom end of the circuit through that chicane and into the hairpin. Maybe O'Brien can launch a surprise attack on the number 91 machine. But right now, Dilks still defending with all he's got. Again, we've only had one race in this championship so far, so Dilks does lead the championship fight with only 25 points to his name, which again, rather bizarre, but as he holds off Archie O'Brien, coming through where he's been susceptible to a few overtakes already. But right now, O'Brien's still trying to pile in the pressure, maybe trying to force Dilks into a mistake. But right now, it is not working. Coming now to the final lap of the race. One more tour for Harrison Day, and it'll be Wilson Dilks in P2. Archie O'Brien still P3, looking to the inside. You can see through the clear wet weather visors just the focus, the concentration of these young riders out there. They are pushing so hard and leaving everything out on the table. Just the sheer commitment and concentration. But can O'Brien find a way through, trying to take a bit more of a traditional wet line through that hairpin? Will he be able to find the gap? I'm not sure. Harrison Day, though, he's got half a lap to go. All he's got to do is just stay on the bike.
Exactly that. 2 more corners left to go, and Harrison Day will take the second victory of the season here at Ellough Park. Treacherous conditions to conquer. He has managed to ride that bike to perfection. 1 final corner to go, and he will see the checkered flag first. Race 1 here at Ellough Park of the LS2 Helmets goes the way of Harrison Day.
We've got one more lap. We've got one more lap. Something's gone wrong somewhere. We're either not timing or down at race control, but we've got one more lap. That is the last lap flag. Some miscommunication somewhere along the line, so we've got one more tour to go then. So it's still on between Dilks and O'Brien. So one more tour. Okay then, maybe last chance to leave for Archie O'Brien once again, trying that wet with a line. Wilson Dilks takes the compromising entry. Harry Payne very close on the outside as well. Can he try and find a way through? Suddenly a 3-way battle for second. Harrison Day, meanwhile, we thought it was done last time. This time it certainly will be done. He's got a few more corners left to go. Round the hairpin, he creeps his way through the lake that is there. But coming to the final corner, now it's the checkered flag for Harrison Day. He takes a spectacular victory here in race 1 on the LS2 Helmets Mini GP70 British Championship. O'Brien gets second at the line. Archie O'Brien into second with Wilson. No, it says Wilson Dilks in second. Was there maybe a penalty for O'Brien? I am very confused by the whole affair. But Archie O'Brien looks to be in second, with Wilson Dilks in third. We'll get those results confirmed to you, but what a ride from Harrison Day.
That was sensational. I think on the timing, it was called on the lap previous, so the timing didn't actually change at all on that actual final lap. But there he is celebrating around his parade lap. What a sensational victory. Full of happiness, Harrison Day, and goodness me, what a ride that was. Such maturity, such prowess, fought his way through the field from 5th place on the grid and takes victory here in Ellough Park. He came in to this weekend full of confidence and quite happy, actually, that it was potentially going to be a little bit wet, and he has been able to conquer the conditions. The LS2 Mini GP70 Championship then, ladies and gentlemen. To clear up any confusion, this is race 2 back from lead. Of course, they lost that after the red flag period. And what a battle we saw earlier on. Harrison Day taking victory in the torrential conditions that we had a few hours ago. It's cleared up though, so potentially there is some intrigue on the horizon. Archie O'Brien, we've been involved. I sent him a quick message just to say, you know, you guys last race of the day, you're going to go on slicks? And he was like, it's still a little bit wet, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to give it a go. His dry running on Friday practice, even on some older tyres, was quickest of the bunch. He loves Ellough Park in the dry conditions, and he wanted to do everything in his power to go and secure a race victory.
Absolutely, and well, I hate to break to you, I have just seen he just went offshore, but he was actually on wets there, so I think he might have just lied to you there. But
what's that about?
Yeah, I know, shocking behaviour from Archie.
If he wasn't
O'Brien.
12, I'd have a word with him.
But still, Archie O'Brien, you know, he thought about going slicks. Yeah, it's one of those things where we can look out the window of our commentary box to make one call. Obviously, it's very different out on track. There are dry lines visible from here, but there's still some standing water in areas as well. And if you go off track, there's still rivers, quite frankly, in some places. So yeah, still, I think it's very much the safe bet to go onto the wet weather tyres. There we can see it looks like Marco Holt there. Great to see the reigning champion stepping in and saying hello to some of his friends. Of course, he's out there this weekend racing in the Extreme 200s class. So, pleasure to see Marco here as always. You can see him there, Marco Holt, the number 58, the white, pink and black jacket. That's a very fancy jacket, it must be said. Marco, of course, ruthlessly fast, the champion of this category last year and the 50s as well, the only double champion barring Casey O'Gorman in FAB-Racing history. So, you know, joining an elite club there, we all know what Casey O'Gorman's gone on to do. So maybe Marco Holt put a fiver on him to go and do some big things in the future as well. But we're just waiting for the riders to make their way over to the dummy grid for, again, what is the race 2 from Lid. So this is not race 2 here for round 2. This is race 2 of round 1 is just being run here after we lost race 2 and also race 3 due to the red flag and the cancellation of running later on Sunday at Lid from round 1. Race number 3 from Lid will be hailed later on in the season, so there will be actually 2 rounds this year where we get 4 lots of Mini GP70 racing, which, if you ask me, absolutely fantastic. Yeah,
no complaints from me whatsoever when it comes to these guys. These are the pinnacle, really, of grassroots racing. They well, particularly in Fab, I mean, this is the one you want to win, right? I mean, you want to win all of them, but when you're on that ladder and your aim is to get as high up that motorcycle racing ladder as possible, this is the place you want to be. This is the championship you want to be contending in, and the competition is riveting so high. Wilson Dilks, Archie O'Brien on that front row with some changeable conditions. The tension is here, and, well, let's see what these guys can bring for their third race, actually, of the season.
Yeah, well, time will tell. Third race, technically second race of the season. Oh, who knows? It's race 2 from round number 1. Let's just leave it at that. It's definitely a race 2. We know that much. But it's here at Ellough instead of Lid. Again, wet tyres, but the track a lot drier, so we're expecting quicker performances. Once again, Wilson Dilks and Archie O'Brien landing up the front row. Time for our sighting lap. It is Dilks on pole. Archie O'Brien starts in P2. Finley Polehill in P3. Harry Payne starts in 4th. Jensen Bishop is 5th. Sam Gardner in 6th. Harrison Day in 7th. Byron Johnson in P8. And Hamish McIntyre 9th. Beth Ashby in 10th. And George Ackerman in 11th. Although actually, just looking at where they are, I'm wondering if maybe they're using the grid from the previous round, because there's a few riders that look to be in very much the wrong place. So
it is,
yeah, it is in fact the grid from the previous round. So it's actually Dilks, O'Brien, Polehill, Payne, Bishop, Gardner, Day, Johnson, McIntyre, Ashby, and Ackerman. Oh no, that is right. No, I'm just getting confused by myself. But, well, that's the grid anyway. Final race of the day, race number 2 for the LS2 Helmets Mini GP70 British Championship. And, well, we saw a great bass in race 1, but it's a lot drier now, Zach. Let's see what happens in race 2.
Yeah, let's do that, exactly. 9 laps to round off what has been so far an intense day of racing on Saturday. We started off with uncertainty whether it was going to be wet. We woke up and it was pouring. It's been on, it's been off, it's been all over the place, but the track now beginning to dry and will continue to do so throughout the duration of the next 9 laps. Wilson Dilks, Archie O'Brien, the front row. A grid stacked with talent. Harrison Day off the back of 2 victories so far today in the GP70s and the Extreme 200s. It's eyes to the lights for the final race of the day here at Ellough Park Raceway in Beccles. Wilson Dilks leads us from pole position. Archie O'Brien gets a decent start. There's the 37 of Byron Johnson as well, looking to the inside, picked makes his way up into third place. Couple of looks in the background as well as Byron Johnson eyes up Archie O'Brien through the inside of turn 2. No way through, and Wilson Dilks holds the lead.
Once again, a great launch from Dilks, great launch from Johnson, great launch from Harrison Day. The three that impressed us the most in race 1. Once again showing what they're made of. Dilks already trying to pull a bit of a gap though, early doors. Already you can see visually the gap reaching up to more than a few bike lengths. As O'Brien under big pressure from Byron Johnson there, but he's managed to close the door as they make their way through that awkward and tight and twisty section at the back end of the circuit. Now coming through the hairpin slightly wide there. That was from Jensen Bishop, I believe, just in front of Harrison Day, further behind them as well. Actually, no, it wasn't Jensen Bishop, it was Harry Payne even, who had a bit of a moment. Finley Polehill, meanwhile, he's up into P4. Great start from him, and you can see there, look at the visual gap that Wilson Dilks has already. O'Brien having to put big chase. Of course, we spoke to him earlier, seemed fairly confident, seemed like he had a lot to learn, but the conditions very, very different in this race from what they were in the race earlier on. And they could still be very different tomorrow as well. It could rain overnight, it could rain tomorrow morning. It is anybody's guess what the racing gods are going to throw our way. Right now though, it is Archie O'Brien holding on to P2, Byron Johnson falling back a little bit on this occasion. O'Brien maybe just turning the wick up, starting to push a bit more, starting to close in on Dilks in front.
The gap is small though. Any small mistake from Dilks could well bring O'Brien into contention. He's not under pressure in the physical sense, but that mental, psychological pressure is going to be there from Dilks, knowing that O'Brien is not too far away, knowing that even the slightest of mistakes is going to exponentially increase the pressure he's on. He has to be so careful around this circuit. Thankfully, it's not as wet to worry about. It's constantly slipping and sliding, but still, Ellough Park is a difficult enough circuit in the most ideal of scenarios. So you have got to be careful. The 199, of course, Finley Polehill looking to move past Byron Johnson. That's the battle for the podium. Right now, it seems to be quite a stalemate, but it's a short fuse, and all they need is a small spark.
Yeah, absolutely. All it takes is a little mistake. Someone misses the braking zone, runs a little bit wide, gets a bit squirrely on the throttle out of the corner, and suddenly, well, bang, there's an opportunity for you to make a move. But as you said, Zach, right now it's a bit of a stalemate. Everyone's just sitting, waiting. There's still shortly going to be 8 laps left to run, so still plenty of time left to go. But as it stands, there is action. So watching 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 the front of the pack. Dilks, O'Brien, Johnson, Polehill and Harrison Day. These guys all managing to hold their own. Again, just waiting, putting the pressure on, seeing if they can maybe try and force a move somewhere in there. But as it stands, as we're looking at this fight for the 3rd place, as the front two start to pull away with 8 laps left to go, Johnson is the one under real pressure at the moment with Polehill and Harrison Day behind him. Archie O'Brien set the fastest lap of the race last time out, at 54.551. So he's got the pace as it stands. Only it was about half a tenth quicker than Wilson Dilks, so it wasn't massively eating into the gap to the leader. But Wilson Dilks still maintaining the lead. Lap record, meanwhile, still quite some way off, 47.326. Again, on the wet tyres, and that's Jensen Bishop who's gone down. Jensen Bishop's had an issue, gets going on the 911, but the rear of the fairing looks damaged. We've already lost Beth Ashby and Sam Garner. Hamish McIntyre, I believe, also had an incident somewhere else as well. 7 laps left to go. It's still chaos here at Ellough Park.
Yeah, of course, they're about 7 seconds off the lap record or so. Of course, those times are going to come down, but they're still on grooved, wet tyres, which means the contact patch of the rubber, the bit that actually grips the road, isn't as optimal. And of course, it's going to be a slightly harder compound as well, are the wets, compared to obviously the slicks that you get. So they are going to be significantly slower. But nonetheless, the pace relative to the conditions looking very, very good indeed. So I think Marco Holt's double lap record is safe for the time being. Let's see what tomorrow brings. Though, of course, Archie O'Brien versus Wilson Dilks. That's the gap at the front, and O'Brien is the man with the pace. 3 tenths quicker that last time by.
Yeah, O'Brien really starting to push and really starting to reel in Wilson Dilks. 54.361 was the lap last time out. This time, it was just a little bit slower, but Dilks also ups the pace, but the gap still drops. Only 6 tenths of a second at the line this time. Dilks has acknowledged the pressure and is responding. but does he have enough in his locker? Does he have enough to give to try and keep in front of Dilks? But then again, you've got to remember as well, if Archie O'Brien does catch Dilks, it's one thing to get up to the back of another rider, a whole different story to get through them, especially as someone who's as good as defending as Wilson Dilks. That man knows exactly where to put the bike, as we saw in race 1 earlier on today. Although maybe the pace wasn't quite there, he was just putting the bike in the middle of the road and keeping people behind him.
Don't forget as well, it's another thing entirely to stay in front once you've actually got the job done. The difficult bit, well, it's all difficult. The easy bit is closing. The difficult bit is getting in front. The even more difficult bit is actually keeping the deal done once you are ahead. Wilson Dilks is not just going to allow Archie O'Brien through and say, fair enough, you got through. Well, cool, you're going to go win the race now. Of course not. He's going to be fighting back. However, he responds in terms of lap time at 54.187. Wilson Dilks has just set, and he is ramping up the pace. He knows the job at hand. Here's the battle, by the way. Harrison Day versus Finley Polehill. That's the fight. Of course, for 4th place, Harrison Day has won 2 races so far today, and this race is on course for a top 5. He's had a sensational Saturday.
He has indeed, has Harrison Day. It's been brilliant for that young man, but looking elsewhere at the moment, here we see once again for another pack. Number 58, or 85 should I say. Wilson Dilks leading Archie O'Brien. Previous lap, Wilson Dilks, fastest lap, 54.187. What's it going to be this time as they come to the line? Gap looks to have extended a little bit more. Wilson Dilks into the 53s. Gap extends by half a second, 53.916. He is really turning it up now, is the race leader. And now he is starting to extend that gap over O'Brien once again. Byron Johnson's managed to pull away a little bit from Harrison Day, who's managed to slide into P4 ahead of Finley Polehill meanwhile. So the guys up the front all starting to kind of just separate out a little bit, kind of just stretching the gaps with 4 laps left to run, and just kind of ending up in their own little no man's land. No one to attack, no one to defend, just out there riding, keeping it on the black stuff. As there we do see Byron Johnson as he runs a little bit over the curbs there. Of course, the younger of the Johnson brothers, his brother Austin, a champion all throughout FAB. So is Byron, to be fair. A very, very quiet young man who's just very emotional, it must be said as well, and that likes to hide away and kind of sit to himself. But my oh my, has he got a passion for racing, and he just loves to get out there, and when he is out there, he's brilliant.
It's crazy to see actually the duality in personalities when they've got the helmet off versus when the helmet's on. You have to remember, these are just kids at the end of the day, you know, sort of as young as 6, and probably the oldest they're going to get in the junior classes is sort of 15 or so. They are just kids, and they've still got such shy sort of, I suppose some of them are a little bit more outgoing. Archie O'Brien loves to come and talk to us, of course, a number of times. Spoke to him a little bit earlier on, but a lot of them are still quite enclosed. They put the helmet on, the visor comes down, they get on the bike, and they just unleash a monster, and they absolutely chuck it down the inside. So it's amazing to see, of course, these young talents proving themselves and doing the talking out on track.
On the subject of Archie O'Brien, previous lap he closed in by 3/10. Is he going to close in anymore this time? He will indeed. Fastest lap, Archie O'Brien, 53.795. But with only 2 laps left to go, has he pulled the pin too late? Can Dilks respond? Can O'Brien go even faster? 2 laps of racing on this Saturday here in the second round of the FAB-Racing Minibike British Championship at Ellough Park. And man, oh man, oh man, it is very, very close at the top, and it is tense. Has Archie O'Brien left it too late, though? I think he may have done.
Yeah, maybe so. Is it going to be too little, too late? Or is this backwards momentum exactly what he needs? Maybe before he sort of stalled behind Dilks, he's dropped back, he's picked up the pace. Maybe he can ride onto the back of Dilks and then launch a last lap attack. Of course, the last lap flag will be thrown. We are in the penultimate lap, but as they run their way through the final corner for the penultimate time, 1 to go. Dilks knows that. Archie O'Brien knows that. This is the lap to decide the race.
Faster once again from Archie O'Brien, 53.9 versus 53.7. But with only realistically a few hundred meters to go, he may have just left it ever so slightly late. Of course, he missed out on second earlier on in race number 1 after a mistake in the timings. The last lap flag was flown when the checkered flag should have been flown. and that ultimately cost him second place. He technically got to second when the race was already over. But into the final section we go. Is O'Brien close enough? I don't think he will be. Wilson Dilks has a few corners to negotiate, a bit of traffic ahead, but it should not fault them. And Wilson Dilks, in race 2 of the first round technically, takes victory here in the LS2 Helmets Mini GP70 British Championship. But man, oh man, oh man, did he have to work for that one. O'Brien with a few more laps, very much may have got through. The two competitors share a fist bump, share respect and share a wave to the camera. But my, brilliant racing from the pair of them, tense racing, respectful racing. You got to think Archie O'Brien with a few more laps, Zach Sweeney, may have just about squeezed through.
But you can't live like that. You can't live in the shoulda, the coulda, the woulda. It's the absolutes. It's the 9 laps that you've got of racing. That is the chance that you've got to strike. Sure, yeah, maybe one more lap he could have given it a go, but he didn't have one more lap. He had the checkered flag. He needed to capitalise when he had the opportunity to. Wilson Dilks held on with maturity, pops a little bit of a wheelie before bringing it in to the pit lane. What a race it was. What a way to round off this day of racing for round 2 of FAB-Racing in 2024. Tomorrow, of course, though, we get race 2 and the big highlight spectacle of race 3s.
We do indeed. What a performance there from Wilson Dilks. Stocks over by the race winners boards that we have nowadays. Of course, looking very professional over there, it must be said. But that is it then for race number 2 from the previous round of the LS2 Helmets Mini GP70 British Championship. Wilson Dilks takes a hard-fought victory. Archie O'Brien can only manage second with Byron Johnson in P3. Harrison Day was 4th with Finley Polehill in P5. Harry Payne 6th, Jensen Bishop in 7th, George Ackerman in 8th. Unfortunately, we did lose Hamish McIntosh, Sam Gardner and Beth Ash. That is it then for today's racing. Not just from the 70s, but overall we are done. 11 races done and dusted as the riders get a quick photo in front of the boards. But again, it has been a great race there for the LS2 Helmets Mini GP70 British Championship, and again, enjoyable the whole way through.
Yeah, so of course with same starting procedure as yesterday with the LS2 Helmets Mini GP70 British Championship. Of course, the gateway onto the big ladder all the way up to MotoGP. Those with eagle eyes would have been watching the Moto 3s there this weekend at Catalonia. Of course, Scott Ogden, a graduate from FAB-Racing, was inside the top 16, narrowly missing out on points, and that could well be the future of some of these riders. They'll be running off for their formation lap, one cycle lap off the back of their warm-up session to acclimatise themselves with the grip and, well, hopefully ahead of some good racing.
Absolutely. Last few checks with the roving marshals before we get going, and a last few latecomers out to the grid as well before we get our race 2 underway for the LS2 Helmets Mini GP70 British Championship. A fantastic, well, a pair of races yesterday. Of course, we reran the second race from the first round after that was unfortunately cancelled. So race 2 of round 1 was also took place yesterday. So we have got technically 4 races this weekend. So plenty of action in the Premier class here at FAB-Racing. But as the riders get underway, let's have a look at our grid, shall we? Starting from the pole position will be Wilson Dilks. Again, he has been absolutely phenomenal this year. Alongside, though, Archie O'Brien looking very close. Finley Polehill, P3. Lucy Curtis, great result for her in P4 with Byron Johnson 5th. And Jensen Bishop, he rounds out the 3rd row. Beth Ashby is 7th with Harry Payne in P8. George Ackerman is in P9 with Harrison Day rounding out our top 10. And the Scottish rider, Hamish McIntosh, he is P11 and the last of the riders on our field today. Of course, some great racing in this class yesterday. Of course, we saw Harrison Day take not just a spectacular win in race 1, but actually we didn't realise until the evening it's actually his first win in this class, which is just incredible to us, given he's such a brilliant talent and he's been up the top for so long, it seems. So obviously a big congratulations to Harrison Day for that one. But now conditions a lot drier, a lot calmer, so could be a different one today.
Could well be indeed, but Harrison Day is full of confidence. Spoke to him just after we finished everything yesterday. Spoke to him and his dad, and they were both elated, full of confidence. He couldn't even keep his yogurt in his mouth, basically. It was all over his face, bless him. But he was just so elated, so full of confidence. Coming into today, he is going to be looking to impress. He, of course, won the first race in the Extreme 200 class as well, and he'll be looking to maybe go for a double victory in Ellough Park.
Absolutely. Moments away. Last checks. Then it is all eyes to the lights. Flag Marshal Lee Clouds will point to those red dots and we'll be underway for the second race of the weekend. It is lights out, we're underway. Great launch from Archie O'Brien there. Wilson Dilks also away strongly, but the 91 of O'Brien takes the lead down into turn 1. Awesome stuff from Spider-Man. Further back, we can see Byron Johnson on that 37, still in the wetsuit and still in P3 as well, changing in positions further back. There is the 199 of Finley Polhill having a look. Oh, there's been a big change of position. Archie O'Brien from the lead of the race, dropping very, very fast. I wonder, potentially a problem for the number 91 as he drops down the order, but as it stands, Wilson Dilks, he now retakes the lead. P2 goes to Byron Johnson. I believe it's Finley Polhill in P3. Harry Payne's now in 4th. Archie O'Brien went from 2nd to 1st to 5th, and we've not even completed that one. Serious issues there for the 91.
Yeah, not entirely sure what's happened, but he seems to be back on the pace at the moment, so maybe just a minor issue, small mistake, and he's getting back into his groove. We'll have to track his progress as the race develops. Of course, Archie O'Brien so far this season, 3 second place finishes, yet to take to the top step of the podium in 2024. Did it once last year in the Mini GP70s in 2023, and he's going to be looking to sort of emulate that success and go for that first win, because he's definitely got the pace to do so.
That's Lucy Curtis has had a big one there. That is down, I believe, coming into the first turn, or the second turn. Looks like we're still going. Hopefully she's okay. Of course, yellow flags are out. And it is, in fact, a red flag. So, red flag in the opening race of the day. That is Lucy Curtis has had a big accident coming into turn 2. Of course, we will let you know as soon as we know that she is okay. But, yeah, red flag, that is not the way that we want to see the day's racing getting underway. But looking back at the racing for a moment, though, obviously hoping that this is a short delay. If it is, we'll have a full race restart, given we're only a couple of laps into the race. We are sending our thoughts down to Lucy Curtis, hoping that she is okay. We'll let you know as soon as we know, but she was on her feet after a brief while, so that is great to see. So the riders then coming into their grid slots. This time we're going to try and keep it going, but again, all eyes to the front row. Can O'Brien get that good start once again? Can Dilks respond? Try and cut O'Brien off down into turn 1. If O'Brien does take the lead, does he make another mistake again? Time will tell. Time will tell indeed. The adrenaline then will be spiking. O'Brien, it's imperative that he replicates that good start. Wilson Dilks, though, he needs to make sure he doesn't throw this away. He got a good start initially, kept the lead after the first lap. All eyes to the lights. Race 2, round 2, FAB-Racing 2024 here at Ellough Park for the LS2 Helmets Mini GP70. 2 title contenders share the front row. We are up and underway. What a launch from Byron Johnson. The 37 catapults himself up in a P3, tries to contend for Archie O'Brien, who is unable to contest, and a rider down in the background. I think that might well be Hamish McIntyre, and indeed it is. The young Scotsman unable to continue. Harrison Day through turn 2, not quite able to make some progress in this race as they run their way towards the second hairpin. All is well. Yeah, see McIntyre at the front of your picture, just trying to get back onto the bike, but with only a short race this time round, I don't think he's going to have the time, unfortunately, to really catch up to the back of the pack. Real shame there for McIntyre. Up the front, though, Dilks from O'Brien, from Johnson. Your top 3. Dilks this time, much better start. O'Brien was okay, but just couldn't quite nail it, couldn't get that traction down. Again, they are still running the full wet compound of tyres, so there are grooves. It's not the full traction that you will be getting on the slicks. Dilks, though, leads the opening lap here from Archie O'Brien in P2, Byron Johnson 3rd. Finley Polhill, though, into 4th once again. He was looking racy over the first couple of laps before the red flag. Let's see if he still has that pace on board that 199 machine. pole hill again. We know he's a rider that when he's on it, it can be one of the absolute finest that FAB-Racing has to offer. Up the front though, it is Wilson Dilks, championship leader by 1 point, may I just add, at the moment, or by 6 points even, should I say, getting my championships messed up. He's leading from pole position once again, but the gap not really extending that much at the moment. Arch O'Brien still very much within view.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty much the status quo for race 1 as well. I mean, O'Brien got a decent launch, but the gap sort of maintained itself. It wasn't until late in the race that O'Brien was then able to start closing in on Wilson Dilks and start applying some pressure. But the good thing is that Wilson Dilks, for Arch O'Brien, of course, he's not home free. He's not completely in the clear. Granted, he's not really under too much pressure. However, speaking of pressure, the 11, of course, of Harry Payne could well be from Harrison Day going into turn 2. And there he goes. The race 1 winner, of course, of this weekend picks his way through and is up into the top 5.
Great stuff there from Harrison Day, but can Harry Payne respond as they get the drive out of the hairpin, and now the really fast and flowing S's section? You've got to get the bike down and keep turning, and then last minute bang it over to the right, up and over the undulation. Of course, no real puddles there today, which means they can take the proper racing line somewhat up and over the crest of the hill, and then braking once again for that awkward hairpin into a chicane complex. Coming to the end of the lap though, again, very awkward through there. Wilson Dilks, we see, gap currently stands at 0.8 of a second. Himself, Arch O'Brien, starting to bridge away from Byron Johnson in P3. Maybe Johnson just starting to switch his focus to Finley Polehill behind on the 199, because right now O'Brien and Dilks, they've started to push away in front. Maybe his race is now in that fight for the podium place. But as it stands, Byron Johnson, we know what that young man is like. He is so emotional and so passionate on the bike, even though in person he is the quietest, most shy individual in the entire paddock. He's going to try and push for absolutely everything. He's going to not give up until he's, quite frankly, either last or off the bike. He's going to just push and push and push and push and push. Even if the front two are pulling away from him, he wants to be in the attack, even if he should be defending.
Well, it's a champion mentality, isn't it? Not giving up at all, making sure that you're maximising every opportunity. And we were talking about it yesterday, weren't we? The split personality of some riders. However, back to the front of the action, Wilson Dilks is closing in on Hamish McIntosh, who was able to get back onto the bike, which is good. That still is going to be scoring him some championship points. 6 points, of course, for finishing in P10, which is where he is on track. What that does mean is that Wilson Dilks has to negotiate him. This could well open the door for Archie O'Brien.
It could indeed, but we'll have to wait and see as they negotiate that traffic. McIntosh did a good job of getting out of the way of Dilks. Arch O'Brien manages to get through pretty cleanly as well. So it looks like they've both got through okay. McIntosh there, who, unfortunately for him, this race has pretty much become an unscheduled test session. But again, it's still track time. It gives him time to learn heading into race number 3. Gap at the line this time closes up by 1/10 of a second. So that has awarded Arch O'Brien just a little bit of a gain. With 6 laps left to go, if O'Brien wants to catch Dilks on the 85, he really needs to turn the wick up, really needs to start pushing now and just start hammering in those lap times, taking a few more risks, because the pace is good, but right now it's not good enough for Arch O'Brien if he wants to be on the top step come the end of this race. Wilson Dilks, I mean, so far this season has just looked utterly imperious up the front. It's not all been smooth sailing. Of course, he's had to fight for some races and he hasn't won every single race so far. Unlike, Marco Holt, who would turn up at a weekend last year and basically win absolutely everything or wouldn't even turn up on the track. It's not complete domination, but Dilks, I think it's safe to say, looks to be, along with O'Brien, it must be said, the class of the field so far this year. Dilks, though, definitely slightly stronger. It's maybe a couple of mistakes creeping in for O'Brien here or there as well. O'Brien, who, even though it's early in the championship, needs to start pushing, needs to start getting race wins.
Here's Harrison Day charging his way up through the field. Next up, the 199 of Finley Polehill. That's the fight for P4, of course. Harrison Day, sensational running yesterday in the wet. Now it's starting to dry up a little bit. Scored his first victory in this championship and then went on to do it as well in the Extreme 200s later in the day. He's not finished outside of the top 5 here at Ellough Park in 2024, and he is not letting that record be ruined here for race 2. He's eyeing up that P4 and is looking to do exactly what he did this time yesterday.
Finley Polehill was attacking Byron Johnson moments ago, but now that he's under the pressure from Day on the 15, he's really had to switch his attention behind, really just had to look back, take a back seat on the 199 and try and keep Harrison Day from attacking. This is very similar to what we saw in race 1 from Harrison Day. Starts fairly strong, and as the race just gets on, he gets quicker and quicker and quicker and quicker and starts putting more and more pressure on other riders. There we can see that's Jensen Bishop on the 911 getting lapped by Byron Johnson in P3. Does a good job of getting out of the way of the faster bikes. And there goes Harrison Day. Had a little look to the inside. I think that was more just a stick a nose and see what happens rather than a legitimate attempt at a move. Here though, Finley Polehill, big time held up. This could be go time for Harrison Day, but not quite. Oh, not quite gonna come to fruition as the 911 of Jensen Bishop nearly has a big moment. This time though, Harrison Day to the inside on the brakes. Lovely stuff from the 15 to get into 4.
Yeah, very clever riding there. Of course, took a step back once he saw that the lap traffic was going to get in the way, of course, of Jensen Bishop. He then knew that, of course, Polehill was going to be a little bit slower. He could then use that backwards momentum. You saw through the chicane that Polehill was then stuck on the inside of the corner, took a tighter line, whereas Harrison Day was able to sweep his way through, put the power down more effectively, take the inside into that final hairpin and find his way up into 4th. Let's see what the pace is going to be like compared to Byron Johnson, because in terms of fastest laps, Johnson is quicker, but the gap isn't huge, only 1.7 seconds. However, the other caveat, only 3 laps left to go.
Given that Day has a bit of clear air now though, and you can see actually as well, Polehill starting to follow him, starting to pick up the pace a little bit. That might mean it gives him a chance to close up to Johnson. Maybe last lap could be a bit of a miracle move up the inside. Time will tell for Harrison Day if he can sneak his way onto the podium. Fastest lap of the race at the moment is a 52.780 from race leader Wilson Dilks. He's managed to extend the gap about 1.5 seconds over second place Archer O'Brien. Penultimate lap of the race on this tour. Harrison Day on that last lap was 9/10 of a second faster than Byron Johnson. He's got some clear air. Now he is pushing, and well, Byron Johnson, well, he really needs to start looking behind him and see that Harrison Day is coming.
Yeah, but should he? Should he be looking behind him? Should he be worrying about what's behind him? Because at that point, it's just going to start to pressurize you. You're going to psych yourself out. You're going to start worrying. Focus on the track ahead of you. Focus on just putting the bike exactly where it needs to be. There is only 2 laps left to go. Sure, Harrison Day could catch. Is he going to pass? Byron Johnson, as soon as he starts looking behind, that's almost an admission of defeat. That's almost him saying, I'm going to have to battle Harrison Day. If he focuses forward, picks up the pace a little bit, he could well postpone it. 1 lap left to go, however. I think Harrison Day, that threat is looming large.
Someone under relatively little threat though is Wilson Dilks. The gap did drop back to 1.1 seconds last time round. It wasn't a great lap from Dilks, and it was a personal best from O'Brien. The 2 factors coming together, but as it stands, O'Brien running out of track to get onto the back of the 85 to make his way through. Dilks, once again, of course, didn't get the lead straight away in the first attempt to the start, lost the lead to O'Brien. This time, after the red flag, he's made sure that he's been able to hold on to it. With a handful of corners to go, it is Wilson Dilks who's going to take the first win of the day. Brilliant racing from the 85. Archie O'Brien manages to hold on to second place, but frustration from the young man punches the handlebars in anger. You can see through the visor the disappointment on the face, but nonetheless, a fist bump with respect and a wave to the camera from Dilks as well. Another fine ride for that young man to take yet another win. Byron Johnson did just about hold on to complete the podium as well, so Harrison Day just running out of time, but it was of course Wilson Dilks who took yet another victory here at Ellough Park. A great ride from him. Archie O'Brien in P2, Byron Johnson rounding out the podium in P3. Harrison Day ran out of time in P4 with Finley Polehill in 5th, Harry Payne in 6th, Beth Ashby in 7th, George Ackerman in 8th, Jensen Bishop in 9th, and Hamish McIntosh in P10 after that fall early on. That is it then for race 2 of the Mini GP70 class. Of course, they'll be back out later on for their final race of the weekend later this evening. But for now, they're going to have to just go back to the awnings, rest, recuperate, regroup, and get back out there, try go even faster. Final race of the weekend awaits the premier class in FAB-Racing, of course. I'm talking about the LS2 Helmets Mini GP70 British Championship. This is the one they all want to win. This is the one where the stars of tomorrow are crafted. Be it going into the RNG British Talent Cup, going into Junior GP or Red Bull Rookies. It is a class that has been phenomenal all weekend long, and a class that continues to provide top talent to the world of bike racing. So it should be very, very exciting to say nonetheless, but it's all eyes, I'm sure, once again on Wilson Dilks and Archie O'Brien. They've been the class of the field so far. Can Archie O'Brien get that win he so desperately wants in the final race?
I mean, on Friday practice, on old tyres, he was the quickest. Now the slicks have really started to come into their own. The track continues to dry, and it is bone dry out there. This is Archie O'Brien's chance. Wilson Dilks has been on top form all weekend long. Of course, taking 2 victories, 3 podiums. Archie O'Brien hasn't been able to get higher than second all season. Race 1 at Lid, P2. Race 2 of Lid here yesterday was P2. Race 3 earlier on, of course, that's their actual race 2, that was P2, and he was P2 here a couple of hours ago as well. He needs to take that final little edge to get onto the top step. Otherwise, Wilson Dilks is going to be so far ahead.
Wilson Dilks starts on pole, Archie O'Brien alongside with Finlay Polhill in P3, Lucy Curtis in P4. Byron Johnson starts 5th with Jensen Bishop in P6. Bethany Ashby, she's in 7th with Harry Payne alongside to make up the 4th row of the grid, with George Ackerman and Harrison Day rounding out our top 7, or top 10 should I say, and Hamish McIntosh, he starts in P11. So that's your grid then. We'll just get it confirmed. I believe Lucy Curtis will be out there racing. And actually, no, looking out, I do not believe that we do have Lucy Curtis out there. Of course, she did have a big accident earlier on. So no Lucy Curtis coming into this one. A big shame. Of course, setting off auto turn. Hopefully she is all okay. But as the riders make their way to the grid, it is crunch time. This is the biggest race of the weekend, not just for these young riders, but for FAB-Racing. Race 3 in the Premier class. This is the whole circuit is waiting for all weekend. Dilks looking calm and collected on pole position. Archie O'Brien focused alongside him, maybe using his spidey senses, trying to get a good launch once again. But it is time for the biggest one of the weekend. It is time to go racing in the LS2 Helmets Mini GP70 British Championship. It's lights out, we are underway. Good getaway for Byron Johnson there. Archie O'Brien also away well, but it will be Wilson Dilks who maintains the lead down into turn 1. Byron Johnson had a look to the inside of O'Brien, couldn't quite get it done. That's Finlay Polhill looking to the inside of Johnson in the fight for 3rd place. Now O'Brien, great launch out of turn 2. Himself and Dilks already trying to break away from the pack as they have done so before here. And you can see already big gaps forming between the front 2. They've been the class of the field this weekend. Great start for Hamish McIntosh there. He has managed to shoot up straight away and is already getting involved with some big battles further back in the pack. There we see Harry Payne, and Harrison Day. Wow, great move on Jensen Bishop there from Harrison Day on the opening lap. Stuck it on the inside, last second, and managed to get it slowed down in time as well. But lap 1 is Dilks from O'Brien, from Byron Johnson, your top 3.
Yeah, good start, good initial getaway, and look at the pace differential from the top 2 to the rest of the pack. Wilson Dilks at the moment has got the measure over Archie O'Brien, but let's see how this race develops. Let's see who comes into their own, how the consistency starts to manage. Byron Johnson, and initially a good start, but that's going to start bunching up behind. Look out for Harrison Day. He is an attacking rider. He will throw moves. He's got the confidence. He's won twice already this weekend. He's not even finished outside of the top 5 all weekend long, and he's been racing in 2 separate classes. He will make those cutthroat moves when they count. So decisive on the brakes. Look out for him as he ascends maybe onto the podium.
Yeah, this could be a great performance from Harrison Day in the making, already trying to put the pressure on. It looks like we do have Lucy Curtis out on track actually. I can just see her out of my commentary box window. So great to see that Lucy Curtis is back out there. Looks like we have lost Beth Ashby unfortunately, but 9 laps left to run then. Up the front it's Dilks from Archie O'Brien, your top 2. 5/10 of a second separating those two. And then we've got this big train building in the battle for third. We've got Byron Johnson, followed by Finley Polehill, who actually had a look there. Then Harrison Day, well, it was Finley Polehill, now it's Harry Day, goes up into P4. Lovely move by the man who's been on form all weekend long. He is loving life round here at Ellough, is the number 15, and now edges even closer to the podium. Great stuff from Harrison Day, just Byron Johnson in his way for the podium.
Yeah, Harrison Day is absolutely flying. He's so decisive. As soon as the opportunity arises, he doesn't hesitate. He sees a move, he goes for it. Byron Johnson, though, is another rider that's in that same vein in the sense that he doesn't let opportunity slip. He's running in P3 at the moment, and that's what this race is for at the moment. Wilson Dilks, Archie O'Brien so far ahead. You can see they're running their way into turn 4 as these guys are going into turn 2. That's the gap that we're starting to talk about. Harrison Day, though, all over the back of the 37.
Yeah, Harrison Day looks like he really wants to push through and find his way onto the podium. But Byron Johnson, of course, he wants that podium place as well. Can Day have a little bit of a look through the S's section? No, not quite on this occasion. But Byron Johnson surely knows the pressure that's under. Oh, actually, slight mistake from Day there. Coming through chicane opens up the opportunity for Finley Polehill, but it didn't come into fruition on that occasion. So Day can now rest, regroup, refocus his sights on the rider in front, the 37 machine. 7 laps left to run. And well, Harrison Day once again looking on magical form. And as I say that, looks to the inside, goes to the inside. Harrison Day, can he hold on to it? Oh, has to sit the bike up slightly as their trajectories crossed. And now Finley Polehill may be looking to the inside. Cool, we got a great battle on our hands here. Harrison Day just launched his first attack on Byron Johnson. I'm sure another one soon to follow.
Yeah, show of strength more than anything, but well held there by Byron Johnson. Saw it coming, backed off, went for the momentum, got back underneath the 15 and was able to find his way back through. This fight, though, is far from over. Still over half the race left to go. Bit of a wobble at the front. There are our top two. The 85 of Wilson Dilks and then the Spider-Man helmet hunting in behind of Archie O'Brien, trying to swing his way closer for the race lead. 6 laps left to go. A fight for the lead, a fight for the podium. This is LS2 Helmets Mini GP70s.
And LS2 Helmets Mini GP70s at its absolute finest as well. Dilks versus O'Brien once again. 5.5 laps left to run, and these guys are absolutely inseparable up the front. Dilks has withstood great pressure all weekend, but can O'Brien finally get a little crack into the 85? Only time will tell as they come and make it. 5 laps left to run on this occasion. You see there, just to the right of your picture, race director Roger Keys watching on. Roger, of course, has been around motorcycle racing for years and years and years and has helped nurture young British talent all throughout the years. Of course, he managed Scott Redding for a long time. Scott, of course, one of the very first FAB-Racing graduates. And, well, watching what could be, the next superstars of British bike racing in front of his very eyes. Archie O'Brien faster on the last lap, fastest lap of the race as well, a 48.813. But, as I said, it's less than a tenth quicker than Wilson Dilks. Those two are lapping so consistently, so close together. Further back in the pack, meanwhile, Day is through on Johnson. So Day's moved up and has managed to start bolting away. Byron Johnson now on the defensive from Finley Polehill on the number 99 machine. Can Polehill find a way through? What was a battle for third is now a battle for fourth. But it looks like Johnson just struggling a little bit out there on the pace. Maybe if the likes of Polehill and Payne can get through, they can try and launch an attack on Harrison Day.
Yeah, maybe so. I think that Day has got the pace measure over the 3 behind him, though, and Byron Johnson is just trying to pick and choose his battles as well as he can. I don't think he knew, or I think he knew that Harrison Day wasn't quite in his race. His race is there for 4th, and he is going to be battling with Polehill and Payne for the rest of this race, doing his best to hang on. I think that is a more achievable goal. Harry Payne, though, on that 11 bike looks very, very sharp in the background, just constantly eyeing up, maybe thinking of a move to the inside of turn 4, thinking about it, eyeing it up, but his opportunities are wearing thin. And if you're 3rd place in a 3-bike train, at what point do you press the button and start moving your way through?
Well, we're soon to be on 2 laps, or 3 laps left to run, should I say, for these guys. So maybe time's starting to run out for Harrison, or Harry Payne, should I say. So maybe just time to think about the move. Of course, we know the quality of Harry. He's a very technical rider, loves, to be very sneaky out on the racetrack and launch those little attacks you don't expect. He's like a poacher almost. He just slides in when you least expect it and gets through. But he's just, I'm sure, sitting and waiting for his moment. Polehill actually goes on the defensive, and as I'm saying, Harry Payne sees the gap and takes it. Polehill tried to get a better entry into the corner, but it left him unprotected on the inside, and that allowed Harry Payne to slide on up into P4, or P5, should I say. Great stuff from Harry Payne as the leaders start their penultimate lap.
Yeah, of course, very, very close at the front. Archie O'Brien has been in touching distance, but not quite close enough to launch an attack. He's been waiting, just that one small error from Wilson Dilks that he can then capitalise on and pounce on. But with 2 laps left to go, time is running out. Harry Payne eyes up 4th place as Byron Johnson had to go marginally defensive, but this race is so close to completion, and who is going to be the one to come out on top? There is the battle at the front. Archie O'Brien, this could well be his one opportunity of the race, but he's not quite close enough into the hairpin.
Going to be 1 lap to go in just a very short moment. O'Brien has closed right up to the back of Wilson Dilks, and he gets great drive out of the final corner as well. Here we go. One more tour, this time in the LS2 Helmets Mini GP70 British Championship. Can Dilks hold on? Can O'Brien squeeze through? Look how hard Archie O'Brien is pushing. You can tell how much he wants this, but Dilks is looking formidable at the front. Maybe gets the up and under. Can he cry and find the gap? Coming through the S's for the final time. He's going to need to set the move up here for a lunge down into the hairpin, round at the paddock bend. A little bit defensive there from Dilks. Not sure if that was needed. Back markers ahead as well. O'Brien is rather far back. Hamish McIntyre could be causing chaos here late on as Dilks gets hold up. O'Brien, this could be the opportunity. Does he get the drive quick enough? I don't think he will. It will be Wilson Dilks who wins once again. Frustration for Archie O'Brien once again. And once again, a great race.
Yeah, frustration for Archie O'Brien though. He wanted that victory. He tried and was pushing so hard, but once again it's only second best, and the championship leader of Wilson Dilks takes another sensational victory, makes it 3 from 3 here for round 2. There are the results. Wilson Dilks, take a bow.
Yeah, what a performance once again from Wilson Dilks, just withstanding utmost pressure from Archie O'Brien. And although O'Brien will, I'm sure, be feeling frustrated, be feeling upset, he can at least hold his head high knowing it was a great weekend for him with some great performances. Dilks takes another win in the LS2 Helmets Mini GP70 British Championship. Archie O'Brien in P2. Harrison Day, great ride, rounds out the podium. Byron Johnson was P4 with Harry Payne sliding into 5th place ahead of Finley Polehill. Jensen Bishop was P7 with Hamish McIntyre in P8. George Ackerman in P9, and Lucy Curtis unfortunately did not finish the race. That is it then for your LS2 Helmets Mini GP70 British Championship action this weekend. What a weekend of racing it's been for these young riders. Of course, they'll be returning a few weeks' time when we head to Three Sisters on the outskirts of Wigan. But for now, it's time for them to go back to the drawing board and continue working on their craft.